It's a great day for all of us as Team India registered an emphatic win over England in Dharamsala, and with that they also won the series 4-1. The 5-match test series which was going around in cities starting from Hyderabad and then ended in Dharamsala. Well, it was a great victory and everyone celebrating that. But what happened after the victory is even more interesting. Now, BCCI Secretary Shah announced a scheme. The scheme's name is Test Cricket Incentive Scheme. Now, with the name, you might have guessed it right by now that it's an incentive scheme for the Test cricketers. But this is the scheme for senior men's Test cricket players. Yes. So, in this, there are many different kinds of incentives for the players who will be in the 11, not in the 11. But one thing is for sure that this scheme has been introduced as an encouragement for the players to play the purest form of cricket, as Shah also mentioned. We'll talk about everything in detail, but before that, Bansal, tell me how important this scheme is. हमने पूरी सीरीज में देखा कितना जोर डाला गया था टेस्ट क्रिकेट खेलने के लिए. प्लस ऑल्सो अगर आप नेशनल मेंस टीम में नहीं खेल रहे तो आप डोमेस्टिक मैचेस में खेलिए. सो उसको मद्देनजर रखते हुए कितनी इंपॉर्टेंट है ये स्कीम?
I think it is a very important scheme for players, mainly for two reasons. Firstly, there has been too much talk that players are not willing to play Test cricket. More and more players are willing to play T20 leagues around the world because they are more lucrative, obviously. So I think this comes as a bright light for at least for Indian cricketers that it will give them more incentive to play Test cricket. And secondly, we have heard throughout this series in the last 2 or 3 weeks, Shah, Rahul Dravid, Rohit Sharma, all three of them are talking about playing Test cricket to show hunger to play Test cricket.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have been asking players to play domestic cricket, Ranji Trophy. So I think now this scheme which has been introduced, their action is meeting their words which they were saying out earlier. So I think it's a very good scheme for the Indian cricketers.
Absolutely, and this scheme is not only to encourage cricketers to play in the purest form of cricket, that's Test cricket. Also, with the changing dynamics of cricket, as Shah mentioned, right, that we have to maintain the parity with the different leagues and different formats in terms of pay. So that's why this scheme has been introduced. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video that there are different categories in this incentive scheme. Let me tell you that if we take 9 test matches in a season, it's just for an instance, if we're taking 9 test matches, then the players who will be playing less than 50% of these matches won't get any incentive. Then comes 2 categories. Now, the players will be playing more than 50% of those matches. Again, I'm taking 9 for an example. So if they'll play 5 or 6 test matches, take 6 games, they will get 30 lakh per match incentive. And this is for the players who will be in the 11. And the players who won't be in the 11, they'll get 15 lakh per game. Now, let me also tell you that this incentive is an add-on. It is not match fee. Match fee is different, incentive is different.
Right.
So, if a player plays more than 50% of the matches and is in the 11, so that player will get 15 lakh rupees as a match fee plus 30 lakh as well, which is a really big boost, isn't it?
So they will be earning 45 lakh per match.
Absolutely.
Just for playing 5 or 6 tests throughout the season.
Exactly. Now, the players who won't be there in the 11 and they manage to play more than 50, they'll be getting 15 lakh. Now, there is another category. This is for the players who will be playing a lot of test cricket throughout the season. And this is for the players who will play more than 75% of the matches, that is 7 or more. So, the players who will be in the 11, they'll be getting 45 lakh rupees per game plus the match fee. So, 45 lakh rupees is the incentive. And the players who won't be there in the 11, but they will be playing more than the 75% of the test matches in a season, they'll get 22.5 lakh rupees, which means 22.5 plus 15. So this is a great incentive for the players. And we will talk, what other cricketers and what the coach and, other people said about it. But let me tell you that Roger Binney also mentioned this, that, this is a very good scheme and they were just waiting for this scheme to be implemented. And let me again tell you that this scheme is for 2023-2024 season. Okay, so that's also very important to note. But this is majorly to encourage players, right, to play the test format. But what did Rahul Dravid say?
So I'll tell you what Rahul Dravid said. But first of all, I would want to say that this is a very lucrative scheme, because for the first time I was reading the press release and all those things, I thought that it is going to be 45 lakh or 30 lakh per season. Throughout the season, if you play more than 50% of the games, it's going to be that amount. But then I realized it is per match amount.
Game,
So it's very lucrative. Now coming to what Rahul Dravid said, I think he had a quite an ironic opinion. He was not completely happy with it, I would say, because while the scheme is named incentive, while Shah mentioned it as an incentive, he said that it is more like a reward rather than an incentive. And he also said that it is quite difficult for someone like him who has played 164 tests. It is quite difficult for someone like him to see that players have to be rewarded to play test cricket. So that was his thought process, and I think it's partially correct as well, to say that players need to be given additional money or additional reward to play test cricket. But he also said that money will not be the driving factor for players to play test cricket. Cricketers will want to play test cricket because it is one of the toughest format, and the recognition it gives you any other format doesn't give. So this is what Rahul Dravid has to say.
So it clearly means that it's a reward for the players who put their, all hard work and sacrifices to the sport to play test cricket. And everybody knows, test cricket demands a lot. It's a very demanding format, if compared to something like T20 format or the limited overs format. So Rahul Dravid also mentioned that, nobody celebrates 100 T20 matches. People recognize 100 T20 matches, but T20 matches are something that any player can play, right? People do celebrate 100 test matches because it's a massive achievement. And we saw, how Ravichandran Ashwin's 100 test was celebrated in Dharamsala when he achieved that milestone. So obviously, Rahul Dravid had to say that it's a reward for the players to play the format. But talking about other cricketers, the foreign cricketers, what they have to say?
So far what I have seen is Kevin Peterson appreciating the scheme. He said that we need more leaders like Shah who can promote test cricket and who can promote cricket overall. We need to remember Shah was the person who included pay parity between men and women when he equalized the pay for women cricketers, at least the match fees for women cricketers. So I think Peterson was spot on. He was happy with Shah's decision. So
well, that's absolutely a great decision, and Rahul Dravid did mention that it pinches him up when you have to reward players to play test cricket, but that has been the case, with proliferation of T20 format and a T20 league, so to speak. I think this is something which is very important, and I won't be surprised if the other boards or the other countries will also follow the same for the test cricket.
Possibly, yes, but at this point in time, what I feel is only Australia and England can afford this kind of an incentive.
Because it's huge, as Bansal mentioned, that it's not for a season, it's for a game. Let me repeat it again. If the players will be playing more than 50% of the given games in a season, so they will be getting 30 lakh rupees per game. The ones who will be in the 11 and the ones who won't be there in the 11, they will be getting 15 lakh per game. That's an incentive, not the match fees. So remember, incentive is an add-on to the match fees. Match fees is fixed plus the incentive. So it's something very great. So the ones who are aspiring to be cricketers, put your hard work in there and think of playing test format because it's becoming interesting. That's that, Bansal? I think that's that. We'll help you understand more numbers in this as we get any other information. But for that, you'll need to subscribe to CricketNext. So don't forget to press the bell icon and stay tuned to CricketNext.